Welcome back to another day in my life as a bakery owner. Hi, I'm Brooke. This is my bakery in Brisbane, Australia, and today I'm going to show you how I decorate and ice around 40 or 50 cakes. And the first thing I'm going to do is just get set up for the day. In the background, you will notice that not only am I icing these cakes in my section of the kitchen, I'm also keeping some cookies and croissants going in and out of the oven throughout the day as the bakery is open today. So to start off with, all of the cakes are already pre-baked, and then you can see here that they are wrapped. We like to wrap them straight away to keep them nice and fresh. And then I'm going to cut off the top of the cakes and then give them a nice little sugar soak. This helps the cakes to stay nice and moist because as you need to place them in the fridge overnight before they get collected, we want to make sure that the cake inside stays nice and moist. And this is one of the things that I would say is very common in bakeries and people from home don't usually know about, but that is one of the ways that we keep the cakes nice and fresh even though they are sitting in the fridge overnight. So you might have noticed the first thing that I do is crumb coat all of the cakes, which is this process. I'm having a little think here about what is next. This process where we stack all of the cakes and then they have buttercream in between and then they go in the fridge. They need to chill for at least a couple of hours to set properly. So then when I move on to this decorating process, you can see the base color here for this one is yellow. When I move on to the decorating process, the cake itself is already stacked and chilled so that it's easy to ice and none of the crumbs from those cakes will come out in the final layer of the cake. After I have finished the base color for the cake, I'm going to start on piping around the edges, and you're not seeing double. I have 2 yellow heart cakes today. Quite often in the bakery we have 10 or 20 pink heart cakes. We offer a baby pink and a hot pink, so sometimes we have more baby pink or hot pink. Those are the most popular colors. Then we have lots of reds, yellows, apricots are really popular colors for people to celebrate their birthdays. A lot of people also purchase these cakes for different celebrations like engagements or weddings when people leave a workplace or move to another city, but the most popular function that we are doing is usually birthdays, and you'll see at the end there with all of those letters on top, all of these heart cakes get a customized message on top which is also edible, made out of fondant, and I'll show you how I roll that one out and then stamp out the letters with our fondant letter stamps. No, I'm not supposed to have favorites, but this baby pink on baby pink is my favorite for today. And then the customer has chosen maraschino cherries to place on top, which I think always just makes these cakes look extra vintage and really fun. And then this customer has also requested additional piping and they wanted to have some white on the cake, but I wanted to show you it beforehand because I actually liked this cake better just with the pink on pink. I thought that was really nice because it's really common for people to do 2 different colors or 2 different tones on their cake, but I actually really like it when people choose the same color because I just think it probably just looks different to me because I do the same cake so often, but I really like the way that the baby pink on baby pink looks, especially with the cherries on top. Okay, moving on. Here you can see one of the crumb coated cakes ready to go and chilled. And now that I've done all of the lighter colors, I'm moving on to the darker colors. And this one is going to be a hot pink heart cake. I love the way that the hot pink looks. It's very close to our branding color, so I really like these ones. And what I'm going to do here is just lather on that buttercream, and then you'll see I smooth it out and take it off and then make a perfect heart-shaped cake. And then the next step is to pipe the top and the bottom. As I said at the start of this video, I'm also multitasking because the bakery is open. So in the background, you can see all of the croissants and cookies baked off. And then I'm also piping and icing all of our cupcakes ready to go out the front. We sell so many cupcakes in store every single day, but our most popular item is definitely our cookies, and then I would say second is our brownies, and then the third most popular item would be our cupcakes. If you have any ideas for new items you would like to see in the bakery, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm always looking for new ideas and following baking trends and seeing what people are most interested in when they visit a bakery. For example, back when we opened a couple of years ago, macarons were really popular and one of our best-selling items, but now we find that they're not as popular as they used to be, and I have made a couple of videos about this and there's very mixed reviews and comments as to why, but because they're not as popular, we don't focus on them as much in the bakery anymore. And now it's back to my heart cakes. As you can see here, I've moved on to the red heart cakes. They're another really popular color. These two are exactly the same cake, same size, same colors, same flavor. So I'm going to do both of those and then put them straight back in the fridge with their order slips. I like to keep the order slips underneath each cake so that I know which one is which. Here I am signing off for the day, and then I'm going to come back first thing in the morning because usually we do all of our cakes on Fridays and Saturdays. They are the busiest days in the bakery, and I'm sure that's probably universal. Fridays and Saturdays are very busy in bakeries. Here you can see I'm back at 4:30 a.m. this morning having my morning coffee. It's the first thing I do every single morning without fail. And because I have a few hours before the bakery opens at 8 a.m., the first thing I'm going to do is get to work on the cakes, but in the background, always baking off all of the cookies because they are our #1 best-selling item. So even though I'm really focused on getting these cakes done so that people can collect their cakes, it's always nerve-wracking when you're making cakes on the same day that people are picking up. However, we have so many cakes that we cannot keep up any other way, so we need to make them even on Saturdays when people are picking up on the same day. So I get in nice and early and get to work on those first few collections and then baking those cookies in the background. Here you can see this is one of our miniature cakes. They're so cute and they're really popular. And then with those ones, instead of the fondant letters, we have hand-piped messages on top because they're really cute and dainty. And there I'm just checking the spelling of this one because people get all sorts of different messages. You can choose whatever you want. But of course, the hotcakes are the most popular, so I get back to work on those as quick as I can while the ovens are working in the background to get everything ready to open. Now I'm moving on to some apricot cakes. I find this is the cutest color. I think apricot and the hot pink is probably my favorite combination when you're mixing two different colors. And then here I'm showing you how to quickly ice a cake. I don't do this very often, but whenever I have leftover buttercream in one of the piping bags, it's so much quicker and easier just to pipe the buttercream directly onto the cake because it's way more even than the way that I normally do it. But I don't like using plastic, so I try and avoid using the bags for the buttercream as much as I can. So usually I'll do this by hand, but I had some left over, so I just put that straight onto the mini cake and then started scraping that off immediately with my miniature cake scraper, which is what I use for all of the mini cakes. Scraping it all off the sides, and then the last thing I do once I've got the sides perfect is that I'm going to use that same cake scraper to push in all of the buttercream from the sides into the center so that it's got the perfect sides and then the perfect top. Here you can see I'm doing that now. Then once the base of the cake is perfect, it's time to pipe on that message on top. I really like the pink and the red combo because I think it's always nice to have a message that stands out. And now I am back onto my heart cakes. This just doesn't end. I make so many of these cakes. We have different sizes. So we have a small, a medium, and a large. This one is a medium. You might notice it's a little bit taller. So instead of the size going outways, like in diameter, we actually go up in size. That just makes it a whole lot easier when we are managing the sizes of our cakes because we use the exact same cake pans for every single heart cake. It's just that the sizes go up so you get more layers of cake if you order a medium or a large size cake. Back onto the small cakes here, and I'm working on those hot pink cakes again. It is never ending. Sometimes I feel like I'm never going to stop making cakes, and I find it really, really stressful making these cakes on the day of, but I just have to stay focused because I know how long it takes me to ice a cake. I can ice a cake in as quickly as about 6 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes, but usually I will allocate around 10 to 15 minutes per cake. And then it also takes, the most time consuming process is actually the letters that go on top, especially when people have long messages. And so that can take an additional 10 or 15 minutes. It really depends on the message though. I always find that things take as long as you have those. So if you have 2 hours to get ready, it takes you 2 hours. But if you have 20 minutes to get ready in the morning, it'll take you 20 minutes or even 5 minutes. So I can make these cakes a lot quicker if I'm under a time crunch. But I always like to leave enough time so that it's enjoyable and I still enjoy decorating the cakes, because sometimes I will make a couple of hundred of these a week and it is a tiring process, so I like to enjoy it and take a bit of time, especially because I'm a Virgo and I like to make these cakes perfect for everyone. I don't want to rush them, so I like to make sure that I have more than enough time, but if I do need to rush, I can. Moving on to the additional piping. So this is the leaf tip that I use to make these ruffles that go around the sides of the cake. So this is an optional extra that some customers will add on. Not everyone chooses this, but it is really popular if you want a more vintage looking cake. So go around with that tip around the sides and then do my little shells over the top. And then I keep going. You can see the cakes in the background here. All the ones I made at the start of this video have already been picked up. And now it's towards the end of the day and I'm still doing cakes. And now I'm moving on to the reds. As I go out throughout the day, I start to work through the darker colors. It just makes it a lot easier to start with the lightest colors and then keep adding the color as you go along. You'll notice on this cake, it might be interesting for you, I've got a little white patch there. So I've scraped off a little bit too much at the pointy end of this cake, but it doesn't matter because this one has additional piping, so if I'm going to go over a little mistake like that anyways, I can usually hide it. The hardest cakes are the ones without any additional piping or cherries or anything on top because you can't hide any mistakes. So it's actually harder to make those ones, even though technically you would think they'd be a little bit easier. Okay, my last job of the day nearing the end of my shift is to roll out this edible fondant. This is how we do our perfectly stamped letters on top. They look really bold and they look really great, but they do take a lot of time. So I always like to leave a couple of hours at the end to do all of the letters. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I will spend way too long getting these letters perfect. And then the last job is to put the letters on top of all the cakes. That is a day in my life as a cake decorator bakery owner. I'll see you guys soon.